Hello everybody, welcome back to the MLG World Final. We're in day 3 of action, the final day here. By the end of the day, we're gonna have one team, one champion, and well, 4 teams to battle it out right now. Our opening matchup is gonna be Monkey Business going against Team Secret. I'm here with Mr. Merlini and Nahaz. Gentlemen, let's break it down now. So we know there's a lot of storylines between these two teams, whether it's former Cloud9 teammates, hell, even early Team Secret teammates. These teams are very familiar with each other and each other's playstyle, and I would almost argue 2 of the teams with the most experience in 6.85 as well. So let's try to break it down a bit. What is going to be the big thing to look out for at the start of the draft, Ben? Is it highly contention over something like the Ember Spirit? We know it's something that both teams love to reach out for.
I think before that you have to think about Wisp Tiny.
Oh yeah.
Because that's Monkey Business's go-to, and they've won many games with that. They also seem to handle the Broodmother fairly well, but Misery's Broodmother is probably a little bit better than Phobos's. So I'm not sure if they're going to ban that out or not. And then of course the Doombringer. I think those are the 3 heroes I'm looking out for first.
I mean, I think more than particular heroes, the question for me going in is one of styles, because teams in this tournament have had real difficulty, and in the Frankfurt qualifiers, by the way, have had real difficulty dealing with this early pressure brought by Monkey Business. I brought up before the fact that Monkey is the only team in this patch that's averaging 2 tower kills before that 15-minute mark. Secret are going to need to defend that real estate.
So what can they do about it? We know Monkey Business, as Nahaz was saying right there, a team that's very good at being able to dictate the pace and just push the tempo. But the thing is maybe something. Now, when we watched Virtus Pro play yesterday, they also were trying to like turn up the pace, but sometimes it'd be a bit too anxious. They're like trying to go in and make stuff happen when they don't even have their ultimates ready to go. I feel like Monkey Business have the aspect of being able to bull rush forward, but the discipline to know when it's the time to fight. Would you agree with that, Ben, at all?
I agree with that. I think that Secret is not really prone to that. They seem a lot more reserved in the way they play. They don't take as many risks and generally like to shore up for the late game. We might also see some Nature's Prophet from either of these teams. I think that I think one of these games will expect like a split push playstyle from Secret, like maybe like an NP plus anti-mage or something like that. They might try that and hope that Monkey Business don't execute well on their push. What other things will
we can go into this later if the hero gets picked, but I really am looking forward to seeing that Moon Meander Nature's Prophet again. This is this build that we've been seeing a lot now in pro play. The Aghanims into Octarine build is something that Moon Meander actually started and has had a great deal of success with. You've seen many variations. You've seen him go the Orchid first and then go into that. You've seen other players, I believe it was Misery in this tournament, that try to Midas and then go into that. But it's really changed the dynamic of the hero, really exploiting those greater treants for the push.
Now, gentlemen, Nature's Prophet, Ember Spirit, those hewers are cute. That's cute. But these two teams, how many times we might see a Meepo played? You got Big Daddy No Tail on one side, you got Weehaw on the other. These are probably 2 of the best Meepo players out there.
The thing is, the Meepo players know the best Meepo counters. So I actually don't think we'll see that much Meepo, especially with Ember as popular.
Come on, man. You're killing the hype.
He's right. He's right, though. He's right. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but, for the fan out there. Another interesting thing is you got probably 2 of the highest MMR players in the EU scene. Weehaw going against Miracle. So who really is the best player with the most MMR? A lot of interesting things there. Both teams taking a look over it pretty seriously. And I want to know the preemptive measures here. Is it going to force out Secret to pull a bit of a style change? Because we've seen them adapt and kind of change on the fly a bit, whereas Monkey Business, we haven't seen them forced to. It seems like they've had a good thing going, and they're going to keep riding that wave while they can. They're heavy assault with that discipline. But for Secret, the discipline, I don't know. I mean, how many times did we see yesterday maybe a certain Eternal Envy overextending a bit and getting punished right there?
No, that's a concern with Envy, and that's something that I know. I know for a fact that he was dissatisfied with his own performance after ESL, despite the fact that they looked very good in their first LAN event. I expect him to respond and be very good today. To me, Secret have looked pretty good, but it's got to be said, all 4 of their wins in this event have come against MVP Phoenix. Now, MVP Phoenix is a team that applies a lot of early pressure, but they don't necessarily have that backup plan. Okay, Monkey Business, as you've been saying, has that backup plan if the early pressure doesn't overwhelm you.
And it looks like we are hopping into the draft right now, so we'll see what kind of value each team has in just the lead off of the draft. Looks like Monkey Business want to be able to maintain control. They get rid of the Darkseer here. That does open up
I don't think they're going to ban Brood, and they're going to hope that Secret doesn't ban one of Wisp or Whisper Doom, and they get one of those two.
I think it'd be a huge mistake from Secret not to ban the Wisp. I really think you've got to make Monkey Business play something else.
It's just so funny because then you then move into the Wisp and then possibly the Doom, and then that leaves an Ember out there, and then the other team is going to possibly grab something like a Night Stalker. The mind games right at the start is crazy.
This is actually somewhat unexpected. Now Puppey and Pilot Die both extremely solid as Dazzle players. Puppey probably maybe the top Dazzle player out there, although Fly on Monkey Business is an excellent Dazzle in his own right. But that's going to leave a few things open. They do have first pick, so they don't have to ban the Doom. But I would not be surprised to see a first phase Ember, especially from Secret.
Does a ban of Dazzle says to me that Monkey Business want to get something juicy out there. They're not looking to waste a ban on anything too high priority.
So Monkey Business, they have to consider Brood now. Brood is likely going to be taken by Team Secret if they don't pick it now. But
boy, first overall pick Brood though scares me, dude.
I mean, but you have to think about it, right? It's a very high possibility that they're going to take it first. So you already want your first pick to be someone that's like decent versus Brood.
I got to say, in this matchup, I would open with a Tusk almost every time. I feel like that hero has become one of the strongest openers just due to his flexibility. We talked yesterday about how the Earthshaker's lost a little value due to being a little bit inflexible. I think Tusk is kind of the new Earthshaker in this patch.
I think Tusk would be
first pick Ember.
Yeah, Tusk would be a great first pick. Well, while we were looking at everything's over, they actually did manage to snag up that Tusk first for the side of Monkey Business there.
Okay, well, I was really smart, right?
Yeah, you nailed it. But then look at the quick response, of course, coming up from Team Secret. They already lead in with the Ember Spirit, and then to also have that security, they grab themselves the Night Stalker as their secondary pick.
Night Stalker is really good because they tend to pick Beastmaster a lot, as you see, and it really limits the vision of the Hawk, and you almost always have a vision advantage as Night Stalker over the Beastmaster. So that's a big thing in team fights.
But you want to talk about vision, right? They come right back with the Beastmaster.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine, though, because darkness affects him a lot.
Yep.
And they have the Ember that's kind of protected with the help of the darkness.
So then why would you pick a Beastmaster into a Night Stalker?
It's just they really like it a lot. It's one of No-Tail's, I think, better heroes, and he gets Necro 3 very, very early, which is awesome for securing map control. On top of that, they can put out pressure around the map with BOTs or like a Nature's Prophet or something like that sometimes teams pick. But you need vision. You don't counter Night Stalker by not having any vision.
Yeah, No-Tail 7-1 on the Beastmaster with this current Monkey Business roster. He's been very effective, but I also like the flexibility in this opening. You can run the Beastmaster as an offlaner or even sometimes in that 4 position. I believe Crit's done that before. Monkey Business, they're not giving away much information here. Secret probably is going to end up running that Night Stalker on the offlane position with Misery.
Now, the Tusk has already come out for Monkey Business. What's the likeliness we could see Fly pick up an Undying for himself and we get that Tusk Undying duo on the side of Monkey Business?
Yeah, that's been one of their go-tos. 7-0 is Fly on that Undying, and it just, that hero, his windows in the game and his power curve fits the tempo that Monkey Business likes to play so perfectly.
Secret is also leaving Queen of Pain open. I think Secret actually has a chance to pick Meepo this game, given their lineup. They have like a lot of single target on Monkey Business, has not even that much damage, I suppose. And they have the Ember Spirit on their side, one of the natural counters to Meepo.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's still unlikely.
The snowball put together with the Roar really scares me for that. And anytime you've got a Tusk on the board, again, this is part of the reason I think he's so good as a first pick. He really puts a lot of pressure on that enemy mid laner anytime he's not showing on the map.
Do we see a lot of Shadow Fiend from Monkey Business? It just doesn't strike me as that Weehaw or Big Daddy kind of a hero. I know
it's a Miracle hero. He's been Miracle's 5-2.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that ban makes sense. I still am hoping at some point today we're going to see that vaunted Miracle AM.
Secret like to leave that mid lane open for Weehaw in a one-on-one situation unless they have a Lich. So it makes sense for them to ban a naturally favorable matchup for Monkey Business unless, again, probably Queen of Pain's the only one that matches up pretty well versus Shadow Fiend. Even that's a disadvantage matchup post 5, especially on the Radiant side. So I think they just want to leave mid a wash.
I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Bane here, maybe from Team Secret. They're very big fans of those kind of control heroes, especially when they're going. We've seen this yesterday from them. They picked a Bane and a Dazzle. Really helps going up against these lineups that like to early pressure. You have a lot more control over the lanes, disengage and engage tools.
We did see Secret yesterday pull out very offensive kind of lineups, not even bother going too much into those defensive supports. Some people felt that that could have led to their downfall in their matchup against CDEC and their, hype aggression, but we'll have to see if they do kind of step off for that or not. I mean, if you anticipate possibly a Meepo, maybe you want to snag up the Wyvern for yourself, we'll have to see if that's going to be the case or not.
We've also seen the Disruptor against the Ember Spirit. I think that makes sense here for Monkey Business if it gets to them. It's not a support that they necessarily like to run, but I think there's some value in it here.
It's also good on Secret. You want an anti-roar / anti-snowball mechanic. Bane and Shadow Demon are like okay in defensive capabilities, but I think it's kind of nice to be able to just counter-initiate immediately with like the statics going right on top of all these melee heroes. So if they draft one more melee hero, that's something you look for.
Wow, and the AA, this is a hero that we've been seeing a lot of this tournament, particularly in combination with the Venomancer. And you have to wonder whether Monkey Business suspected that was coming, banning the Veno as their 4th ban.
Yeah, typically we've also been seeing AA even picked up early just so that they can limit the hero pool so much. I mean, I wasn't anticipating an Alchemist, but if you were thinking about it now, if you're Monkey Business, you're probably having second thoughts.
AA suits Secret versus Monkey Business. They want to play a slower paced game, and as we all see Monkey Business play, they like fast, and they like to take down your towers before 20, and EG kind of got caught off guard by their early group up and their early tower pushes. But one of the problems with AA is that Monkey Business like to split up around the map a lot, and sometimes have like 3 and 2 with BOTs on Beastmaster, for example, and then you can immediately turn it into like a 5v5 with BOTs and like a TP into a tower. So it's pretty smart though from Secret. They want to delay that. You want to make that 15 or like 20, like 3-minute time for Monkey Business as weak as possible. And I think AA is really strong at that.
Now, there's going to be the Undying. I anticipate for Fly. As we've seen before, Monkey Business is a team that is not afraid if they even have to pull out like 4 melee heroes. They always seem to find a way to make it work, or even go like that 4-core kind of a lineup. You don't see those kind of very selfless supports. They seem to just find their own bits of farm by taking heroes and taking names.
Yeah, and there's the Bane pick. I thought they might pick that up 3rd, but again, put together with the AA, who's a little bit more of a defensive support, not as much in terms of controlling the action in lane early on. The Bane gives you that nice complementary support that can take the pressure off one of your lanes if needed.
He's just really strong versus melee heroes too. He's pretty fast, he has a lot of armor, he has really good right click, and you kind of need someone like that to deal with like a Tusk Undying offlane, for example. You can't have like a Shaker or a really weak support like that. Even Dazzle, I would say, is a little weak at that because he doesn't hit very hard.
Is he going to be good enough, though, to help with the Tombstone? Secret's lineup doesn't scream out to me a way of being able to easily handle
it's still
Tombstone.
nice to even, like, let's say Ember Spirit gets roared into like a snowball or response. You just defensive sleep, and then once he wakes up, he just gets out. That's like a really nice ability of the Bane that is... I would say like it's really nice to have a defensive ability on your support. Like Soul Rip's like okay on Undying, but it's like not as good of a version of Snowball, but it's still pretty good. And they just love the Bane often for setup, AA Blast, whatever you want it to be.
So this next pick, I think, is really going to define the Monkey Business draft. They could very well look for a Nature's Prophet on Moon Meander, run the Beastmaster mid, the Tusk in the 4 role, just kind of go greedy. But Monkey Business gets away with some of these very greedy drafts, a lot of melee heroes, because of the fact that they're so good at applying pressure early. And of course, the other direction is they could back off a little bit, go a little bit more greedy, and pick the AM or something similar for Miracle.
I think AM is going to be a little bit tough here with the Night Stalker and the Bane. To catch him out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Their late game's like pretty weak right now, though. They need some insurance, I would say. Beastmaster with Necro 3 is not enough, especially versus the Ancient Apparition. You're going to have a lot of trouble pushing high ground versus that. They could also
Are you worried about the Meepo, Ben? Sorry to cut in. For
Monkey.
Secret, because I think a Queen of Pain pick would make a lot of sense here for Miracle and Monkey
Undying's,
Business.
I think, also pretty good versus. He's like okay versus.
Okay, there's the aim. They are going to go back for that. I agree for the record with what you said about this possibly being a tough AM game. But remember, Monkey Business can get away with a lot in terms of that, just because their other 4 heroes are so good at applying pressure and creating space.
Yeah, but you can't push the high ground versus AA and Ember Spirit. So even if they win the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes of the game, they still have to have at least one more hero aside from Beastmaster that scales well. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick another one.
It's for Melee, typical Monkey Business as of recent here. But yeah, they'll need some way to breach into the high ground.
We saw what EG deal with this by having the Magnus. I don't think we've seen Wii play Magnus, but he can just play Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger's perfectly okay in this situation. Decent versus AM, good late game, also decent anti-push.
What do you think about if he goes back again and we get to see that mid lane Night Stalker, or the Midnight Stalker, if you will? I
don't know that it's as good here. It's certainly fine, but the big thing that did yesterday was lock the Shadow Fiend into a dual mid situation against the Night Stalker and the Lich. They don't have the Lich here, so I think that loses some value. I still think you could see a Nature's Prophet here out of Monkey.
There he is.
Ah, there's the Meepo. All right.
What
and
a quick
stand
response
from Miracle. They knew this was coming.
Yeah,
they absolutely did.
That screams to me they're like, if they pull out the Meepo,
okay,
we're going to go for the Sven, but that gives them a 5.
No, this is a mid Sven. Oh, boy.
It's also a 5 melee lineup. Whew. That's close quarter combat, baby.
Wow. This is going to... Are we going to get to see a Meepo versus a Sven in the mid lane? Guys, how often have you seen that?
Not very often, but you got the Meepo going against the Meepo and Big Daddy.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's like...
Yeah, they were completely ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, it just... I don't think I've ever seen a faster 5th pick after the Meepo.
Meepo's really good versus AM, though. So I can see why they picked it. It's also really good versus Tombstone.
I don't think you could have asked for a better 5-on-5 hero matchup here in Game 1. This is going to be amazing, and I think Monkey Business was absolutely ready for this draft out of Secret.
Yeah, you ideally want to pick Meepo 10th, not 9th.
Yep.
For this reason.
And with that said, we're going to go ahead and hop into our very first game of the final day here for the MLG World Final. We're going to throw it over to our awesome casters over here. It's going to be the Capitalists and Blitz. Gentlemen, please take it away.
Monkey Business versus Team Secret. Our first semifinal of the day. Who's going to be going to the finals, Blitz?
I mean, for me personally, when it comes to the draft, I really like Team Secrets. I think the Meepo does really well against both. Like Ben said, the Anti-Mage and the Undying. Like, the net range is unbelievable, especially with the changes they've made to Anti-Mage's Blink. If you can get in there early game, it's a pretty decent counter. At the same time, the Sven, the Beastmaster, these are heroes that work all right.
What do you really see behind that 5th pick Beastmaster, or sorry, the Sven? I mean, I'm looking at Monkey Business and I see a lot of tanky heroes that can potentially survive through the initial poof of the Meepo, but my biggest concern is that they're still going to be easily kited around by the slow, the Earthbind, that they're still not going to be able to focus down the Meepo as much as they would like. I mean, as Marlena was bringing up, the Tusk and the Beastmaster, while they do have some single target focus, they have some nice stuns, it's not necessarily that kind of like overwhelming amount of damage that, you know, boom, there goes the Meepo, he's down, and you're able to move on with the team fight.
Yeah, I think it's going to cause some issues for them early on because the Meepo, if you look at it, the Sven does okay, but you're going to need a Blink Dagger at some point to also deal with the Ember Spirit. And so you might lack a little bit of damage, but I mean, I like Secret's lineup overall. I think it'll do pretty well this game.
Yeah.
What it really comes down to for me is how pressured the Anti-Mage gets. We've seen Miracle's Anti-Mage win them a lot of games, and I mean, Monkey Business just continues to surprise me. On a side note, like, I didn't know how good they were going to be. I definitely didn't think they were going to be this good. But
yeah, looking at this matchup, I've been kind of talking about it a lot. I feel like this matchup is going to be, out of all the teams that would have been in the playoffs here, I feel like Team Secret is the team that could have actually pushed Monkey Business the most. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this matchup, just because I feel that whereas some of the other teams, for example, like EG, I think Monkey Business could easily just, you know, take them out with their aggression, and that would be sort of like, okay, a one-sided look just saying, okay, EG failed to adapt to the aggression, right? And the same CDEC, maybe Monkey Business are just able to basically beat out CDEC, or maybe vice versa when it comes to that early team fight, but it's a similar play style. Here, Team Secret, I think, offer enough like strategical depth that they should be able to counter Monkey Business, especially since they've shown a lot of early laning phase aggression themselves. And the laning phase, I think, is going to be one of the most interesting ways to look at this this matchup.
I think that Monkey Business might be the better team, but I just simply I like Team Secret's draft.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot too. I mean, you're talking about 5 melee heroes versus an Ember Spirit with that cleave, the Meepo potential AoE poof. I mean, even if the Meepo is going to be countered in a way by not being able to just insta-pop these heroes, I still kind of feel like Monkey Business aren't just going to gain enough ground with their lineup and be able to finish things off. Of course, as you said, a lot of this does come down to the AM.
I think what it really was that kind of made me unsure of Monkey Business was I thought that No-Tail was going to need a little bit more time to adjust to the mid/carry role, because it's such a difference going from playing support for 2 or 3 years and then all of a sudden switching to a core. But he's actually adapted really quickly.
Yeah, this is because he used to actually play the mid position back in Heroes of New Earth, so he actually is kind of familiar. He just had to brush up essentially on the specific Dota mechanics.
That's what Sunsven said too. He said this guy is an absolute beast, and I definitely should have been giving him more credit from the get-go. This is a talented player, make no mistake about it.
Yeah, and the rest of Monkey Business, I mean, you've got fresh talent on both sides. Miracle versus Weehaw, two of the different quote-unquote pub stars who are very known for the
MMR players.
Yep.
That's an accomplishment. I don't care what heroes you play to have to get to 8,000 MMR. Everyone's like, well, you can get to 6K, all you do is spam X. Well, then do it, you know?
Yeah.
And then get to 7K, and then it's so hard. It's a lot of mechanical skill behind that.
Yeah, and you can really see it in Miracle's play. Comparing the offlaners here, Moon compared to Misery, who's, as we've talked to him, still adapting to that offlane role. I feel like Moon has been on quite the hot streak. I almost like want to put more value in Moon than on Monkey Business than the usual standouts like Miracle.
I mean, for me personally, Moon Meander has been playing phenomenal Dota for quite some time. Even in complexity, you could see him start to really develop his own style and get comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
But as of late, Moon Meander is definitely playing at tip-top level. You saw that at the qualifiers. You see it at LAN here. No nerves, no issues for him at all. He's been through the grinder quite a few times, and he's come out on top.
Yeah.
It's weird, too, because you know, everyone knows Moon Meander's persona. It's like super clowny. He goes in chats and he spams. And you would think, like, okay, how serious can this guy be about Dota? But he rarely streams anymore. All he does is practice, spam games. It's pretty insane, actually, to see that level of dedication.
Yeah, he really seemed to hit a certain point where he just doubled down on dedication to the game.
We're seeing the Misery Night Stalker once again.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot last time they played it.
Yeah, he did very well. You're going to see the double mango build out of him. Also watch for Pylai, who does do the early TP. This is happens quite a bit on the Radiant, or sorry, when you're on Dire side, just because you're able to get quick access into the enemy jungle, and it's so hard to efficiently counter-ward that pull camp on the Radiant side.
I think Team Secret looks, for a second, it looked like they wanted to dodge in case it was going to be an Undying +1 lane, which Monkey Business do a lot. It's actually almost always Fly and Moon Meander that pair up together. And that's no surprise at all, just because of they've got a lot of history playing on complexity together this past TI, and Fly will naturally play those heroes that are just meant to annoy the crap out of you. But Team Secret, this dual lane, they've got Puppey going down here, and I'd imagine that the Bane is going to hang around a little bit for mid. That seems to be Pylai's preferred playstyle.
Always try and put pressure on the enemy mid laner, get his mid a slight lead up, especially with the Meepo, who's kind of obviously dependent on getting that level 3 area.
He's been doing that since MLG Columbus times, where he was playing the Wind Ranger or the Skywrath Mage, coming into the mid, right click, spam. Man, as a mid player, I hate that that's part of the meta. It doesn't feel like a 1v1, but it works out so well for them. And it looks like they're going to try to counter it. Crit's going to be here for the time being. They have to know that this is an option, but Pylai, it looks like he's actually just going to go straight to this bottom lane.
Yeah, they seem to know that Monkey Business are going to be running a defensive tri-lane here around Miracle, as Team Secret are running their 3 heroes at the bottom lane, which does leave our 1 versus 1 matchup here. Misery versus Moon. Beastmaster, Nightstalker. Who's going to come away with the advantage here in this match?
I think it's the Beastmaster. If you take a look, Nightstalker has a ton of base damage, but Beastmaster has even more. And you've got the boar you've got to worry about at all times.
Yeah, and it's not like you really want to like void down boars. That's not a very like efficient use of your mana. So
you're seeing Misery already at half HP, and this is just from the boar spam. If Moon Meander controls this correctly, I think he definitely should win this matchup, but he's got to be careful around nighttime.
So then the question is Team Secret actually going to be able to get the better part of the engagement at the top lane? There is also the nighttime factor that Misery may be able to provide some sort of upset, especially since he's probably going to get his level 4 by nighttime, and that usually you see Nightstalkers actually go for the 2nd level in Hunter in the Night. Maybe that actually offsets the boar slow enough that he can actually get an advantage, but we'll see as time goes on. Obviously, first 4 minutes going to be a bit rough for him. And the bottom lane does seem to be pushing back Animage from being able to get farm. So far, I guess that can be called a success. Meanwhile, our middle lane matchup, which is probably one of the most interesting ones you'll see all tournament long, Meepo versus Sven. It seems like Sven is off to a nice early start, but Weehaw now has his extra Meepo, so things are going to get a little bit more dicey.
If I remember correctly, the last time I saw this, it wasn't in the mid lane anyways. Oh, No-Tail's going to sneak that one. That's so unfortunate. But the last time I saw a Meepo have to play against Sven, it was actually Weehaw when he was on Balkan Bears, and he had to play against Fierce Sven, and that Sven ripped through that Meepo. It wasn't even close, actually.
High is going to be caught by nice ice shards from Crit with the combination of the creeps. They're able to turn, but Crit now has to snowball himself out of this one to make sure he doesn't get cold feet procced. They do get a nice 2-man decay, and that'll stop the fight in its tracks.
If there's a player that you want playing against the Meepo too, it's probably No-Tail. He should know this hero in and out.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least know how to exploit it. And if he feels confident with that last pick Sven, because they did it so quickly, then they must have known for sure. So maybe I should give a little bit more credence to Monkey Business's lineup.
So the skill build for this Sven, do you think this is going to be the maxed out Great Cleave?
At some point, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to get it earlier than later. The problem, though, is that you lack a lot of damage. And you don't have a huge mana pool to work with in general.
Right.
Sometimes if you decide to go for that, you might have to offset it by getting a lot of side stat items. He's going to get it at level 4 early.
Yeah, so we'll probably see him. Sometimes we see Sven's max it out from here and just keep the Storm Hammer at level 2, though it feels like the nuke is going to be kind of necessary against a hero like Meepo and Ember Spirit.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Heroes that you really want to try and burst down as much as possible.
Yeah, they're pretty even in this mid matchup, and surprisingly atop, Misery's doing just fine.
And it makes you even better with this rotation. Weehaw is going to come around
no
from the
idea.
side. They're going to be able to slow down Moon. The Poos are going to come in, and Moon's going to be locked in quite heavily. Misery's got another nuke coming up in a second, but it doesn't matter. Right clicks from Weehaw will be able to finish him off, and first blood goes to Team Secret.
And that rotation is so hard to spot for because they dewarded that top rune almost immediately, and Weehaw left one of the Meepos into the mid lane. So it's natural to assume for the Sven to call out to his team, okay, he's probably going to go to the jungle, actually, and not even the mid lane. And once again, No-Tail sneaking that rune, but Weehaw should be just fine. He's going to TP back to base. But yeah, as I was saying, it's really hard to call for that rotation without that top ward there.
Yeah.
So he knows for sure that that's a guaranteed gank. There's no way they're not going to get that one. It's
And
just
now
information play.
Misery is in a very good position because he's level 6 while Moon is still level 4. He's got nighttime advantage as well. And he does go for that extra level in Hunter in the Night that we were talking about before. And is he going to get phase boots? He will. So now your movement speed, who cares about the boar slow? You easily outrun the boar and the Beastmaster. So Misery may be able to really push this advantage. Though maybe not. It looks like they're going to rotate the Nightstalker out of lane. They may try and gank the Beastmaster with the Ember Spirit first. But Ember Spirit wants to be able to sit in the safe lane and farm now. It seems like they did their job. For the first 4 minutes, they gave Nightstalker a solo lane where he was able to get levels. Now time for the Ember Spirit to take over.
I think this is a fine idea to swap. You're not getting too much out of the Ember Spirit, or not as much as you would want. 19 CS isn't that fantastic, and your Nightstalker is doing so well. Being able to be a part of a kill, your mid lane's going okay too, so why not just secure the Ember Spirit's farm? Make sure that he has an okay game as well. The laning phase has definitely gone okay for Team Secret so far. They're up around 200 gold, but the difference is not that big.
The one small problem is going to be that because he has the second level and Hunter in the Knight, his rotations, he can't actually go down to the bottom lane and threaten the Anti-Mage as is. And with the vision that they had of the Hawk, they know he's rotating out. The only lane he can go for is mid, but the Sven's rather tanky, and the rest of Monkey Business are already kind of centered up in that middle lane. If anything, Misery's aggression may be caught out by the Beastmaster, who is currently jungling, trying to finish up his level 6.
Yeah, there's actually, it's going to be so difficult for them to gank that mid lane. It's a mid Sven. He's got 1,000 HP, 6 armor to work with, and Warcry. On top of that, he's got the stun to kind of counter in case the Meepo decides to come in. I don't think that's the gank that you decide to attempt.
Weehaw does manage to pick up the rune and will be
I think
stopped by the
Weehaw's dead.
snowball, but yeah, the roar comes in and they'll just chain stun Weehaw down. The first pickup there for Monkey Business.
No-Tail even committing the God Strength, making absolute sure that there's no way that Weehaw gets out of that. They want to slow down this guy's momentum as much as possible.
Oh, the sleep doesn't last quite long enough. I'm not sure if the silence would have been enough for them to be able to kill this Anti-Mage, but it would have
He's
been.
got phase boots. What level of brain step? Level 2? I think so. He hits really hard right now. 100 hit.
Well, in that case, Miracle has to be all the more careful. He does have a good laning ward, though. So he should be okay.
Yeah. Hey, Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Well, according to you, apparently I'm going to owe you a lot
You owe me
more
dinner for
tonight.
life.
Yeah.
All right, this bottom lane, though, you got to be careful because there's a lot of counter initiation that can come in.
Yeah,
The
there's
Sven
so
is a
much
hero
vision.
you don't want to do that into.
I almost feel like Team Secret knew that there was a laning ward just because Pylai did go for that very early Nightmare. And was just kind of thinking, okay, if there is a laning ward, I need to throw out this early Nightmare. Otherwise...
Highlight Die should tank this gank so
Yeah.
he can get out. This is
Yes.
fine for him to die here. Misery just gets out, and they've lost the support for a 4-man rotation for Smoke.
Yeah, that's perfectly acceptable for Team Secret. Pylai die. The kind of standard play for him.
Yeah.
Knowing where to position himself in order to tank potential rotations.
You notice that he's on the far left, and
Yeah.
that's not a mistake whatsoever because everybody's missing on the map. You notice that even that top lane, Eternal Envy, he had that remnant pretty far back, just to make sure that if a gank does come, he has time to get out and react. And this is what you need to do. That's one of those support deaths. I know it's one of those jokes like, Pylai die.
Die, die, die.
Yeah, but it's part of the playstyle
Yeah.
to make sure that your cores are doing okay. But at bottom, this might be an overcommitment.
Yeah, they're diving in a little bit deep. Fortunately, they've got the movement speed. Well, maybe not so much anymore now that it's daytime, but before, the movement speed to be able to get away from that tombstone. Team Secret, this has been kind of interesting watching Moon. He's been like jungling this whole entire time, which is a really interesting way to play the Beastmaster once you hit level 6, because when you're off map like this, you're just putting pressure on all the lanes because they don't really know where that rotation is going to occur. Oftentimes, a Primal Roar is a free kill if you have another hero next to you. So it's an interesting way to be able to free up space for another support to pick up levels. You can see Crit is about to get his level 6 because of this, while still keeping up your farm and keeping pressure on the map at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people underestimate, how much pressure you can simply put on just by playing the vision game. A lot of people feel that if they have the opportunity to farm, they should take it. But imagine if Moon Meander goes to that top lane. The Ember Spirit sees him, he can decide to play a little bit back. They can set up opportunities for a decently high-level kill. If you kill a level 6 Beastmaster, it's well worth the time, right? It's not like you're killing a level 3 Bane or anything like that.
Yeah.
So just by not showing on the map, it creates opportunities like this one at top where Eternal Envy might feel a little bit comfortable.
Ooh, the
but
roar.
That's so hard to gank.
It doesn't come in on time. EE just happened to back up at the right time just before the snowball was started. And that made things really awkward because they were relying entirely on that snowball stun to be enough time for Moon to close the gap for that ultimate.
Yeah, Eternal Envy, the reason why he knows that that's happening and before they even break the smoke that he's gone is because Crit has been using the Ice Shards continuously to farm. He hasn't used Snowball once, and then he just decides to lead with it into an Ember by himself? No way. That's pretty much committing yourself to death if there's nobody behind you. So Eternal Envy reads that and says, I should just get out. Just rely on my instincts.
Misery farming up the bottom lane until the next 9 time. He's already got phase boots earned despite not really having the most successful first 9 time when it comes to kills. He's still farmed up quite significantly. A nice 2-man Ice Blast. Team Secret taking control of the rune as best as possible.
He's got the same amount of CS as the 2 other cores on the side of Monkey Business, and that's really significant because a lot of a lot of the times when you play these heroes like Night Stalker, the ones where you feel pressure to gank with, oftentimes what will happen is you fall behind in farm, and then by the time the next time the night rolls around, you're so far behind that you don't have anything to contribute. You just don't deal damage, you don't have levels. So I like that he's so focused on getting his own farm and guaranteeing himself some damage for the next nighttime.
They do have darkness up. So if they are able to actually scout out Miracle here, they can go ahead and pop that one with the sleep, get the long duration silence from that, 5 seconds, and easily take him down. And you're going to see it right here. The sleep goes down, nighttime activates, they get a really good ice blast, and yeah, they just pop him so easily.
He played so carefully that entire time. I was just about to comment on his game sense, where every single time it feels like there's a support down here, he knows and reads the situation properly. But they smoked down for that. And they even had a ward. That was just pure game sense. And he decides to poke his head out like a turtle.
And immediately
That
gets
was not
it
the
chopped
time.
off.
Bottom tower is under attack.
It's a brutal image cap.
Monkey business.
Dire's middle tower
They're rotating their 2 heroes around here. This game has turned out really passive. There's a lot of interesting small strategical maneuvers on both sides, but nothing's really coming of it because both teams are actually playing defensively well enough. They're both reading each other really well, right?
Team Secret should play defensively. They have, I mean, they have a Night Stalker, it's daytime. They've also got a Meepo that all he should do at this point in the game is farm. There's no reason for him to gank pre-Ags.
Right.
Just because Aghanim Scepter, every component of it takes so long. And Monkey Business, they've tried to play aggressively 2 or 3 times with the smoke. One time they found a support, the other time they actually blank out and get nothing. But you're going to notice they are going for it, and something I want to comment on too is you notice the Sven's build, he decided to go for the Bracer because you can't just decide to not go for any stat items when you go for this max grade cleave build.
tower is under attack.
And that's what I was kind of leading into, right? It is to the advantage of Team Secret for this game to turn out a little passive now. It's going to have some combat now. Monkey Business not quite getting the Meepo like they wanted. Well, maybe the Ice Shards and a Snowball. No, they're going to not make that dive. Just a bit too dangerous against the team of Secret, especially still during that nighttime.
That's huge though. They get the tower kill on Miracle, create a little bit of space for him, and at the same time they execute a gank. Even if it's on Pylai Die, the more significant thing is that they were able to get the tower at top for free, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's where I was really leading into this. Monkey Business, if this game is passive and it's to the favor of Team Secret, what do? You just start manning down towers with the Sven? Is that the best way to force something out of Team Secret and not keep this kind of farm fest that's happening?
I mean, you're going to play the vision game because you have a Beastmaster and look for these opportunities. They just don't have a lot of... You can't really fail the ganks right now when you're playing against a lineup like this.
Yeah.
Because if they mess up, the Meepo gets a bunch of kills, then what ends up happening is he picks up a fast Ags and he gets his blink before the anti-mage gets Manta, and then you just jump on Miracle whenever you see him. Because you know that even if you trade 1 for 1, that's their only... They've only got a dual core setup, whereas you've got an Ember Spirit, a Night Stalker, and a Meepo.
Bottom tower
And the Night Stalker's doing really well for himself right now. He's only 1 CS behind the anti-mage. So you don't have to play this panic style if you're Team Secret, whereas Monkey Business, you've got to kind of pick your opportunities, and they've got the heroes to do it. You've got a Beastmaster that can constantly scout out for you. You don't have to really rush for anything, and Misery's actually going to walk past them. This is so awkward.
Oh, he immediately gets stunned up. The Ice Blast is going to come in. Meepo
he's still
might be able to
tanky.
take advantage of this one. They throw down the ultimate, trying to pop Misery, but now they've
This
been
is not
caught.
a
The
fight you
Meepo
wanna
comes in.
take.
He's got a double damage. He's just ripping through all of Monkey Business. That's 3 down.
Chilling
and we
touch.
said it was so necessary for them to be able to pick their fights and not get caught by the Meepo, but that's exactly what happens here, and Team Secret will gain quite a lead now in this game.
You had Chilling Touch plus the double damage onto every single one of those Meepos. Nobody's getting out alive. At that point, they should have just cut their losses. It was unfortunate that they ran into the Meepo at the same time, but Weeha, you had to have known he was going to jungle this entire time. It's not a hero that's going to immediately go for the Ancient stacks. And that's so huge for Team Secret.
Yeah, this is about to go from bad to worse because they've got Fiend's Grip and No Tail. He's all by his lonesome in the jungle. The Ice Blast over the top is going to make sure he does go down. Tanky is all hell, but 3 different heroes provide the nukes necessary to bring him down.
That was so random. The Night Stalker just runs past 2 heroes. They're not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah. Oh no, what is this Monkey Business? They're just falling apart at the seams now. 3 kills in the top lane turns into another one in their jungle, and then yet another one in this bottom lane. That's Miracle dying twice in a row. Very uncharacteristic, I would say, of him, who's usually able to avoid those kind of situations and always keep his farm going.
There just isn't a lot of space on the map right now. Once they lost control of that top fight, things became really complicated for them, and they've just lost their 2 main farming cores. Team Secret have to be so happy about this, and they're playing this really well. They're even going to find crit.
Yeah, there's nothing Crit can do as he's silenced up. They're actually going to have the heals come in. Maybe he can actually snowball this one in a second, but the Ice Blast finished him off. He didn't want to snowball because Misery was stuck. All those zombies are actually holding him in place. Now they're going to cut down those trees, but they still have the nukes necessary to finish him off. And Team Secret, they're fine. They'll do what Monkey Business should have done earlier and cut their losses.
This Ember Spirit, all the meanwhile, has been farming. He's been completely untouched. 2 kills to Eternal Envy's name already. Meanwhile, the anti-mage at bottom, he's been pressured so much. He doesn't have vision on this south side of the map, and that's so difficult for him to maneuver around because all he can really afford to get away with is 1 or 2 camps. Then he just has to back out. There's not much for him in the jungle either. Like, you notice, he farms 1 wave, then immediately blinks back.
Oh, wow. Depending on what the rune is, I think they were going to give it to EE just so he can have some mana to work with, but you can't say no to a double damage, dire side, bottom rune with a Meepo. That's just a free Aegis.
Yeah, this is going to allow Team Secret to finally start to play incredibly aggressively. Before, it felt like they were just playing the passive game, waiting for opportunities to come to them, but now you're going to start to see mass pickoffs because how do you actually kill that Meepo twice? We saw how much they struggled with killing that 1000 HP Night Stalker. What are you going to do when you've got to deal with all these Meepos?
Yeah, give it another 700 gold or so, and Weehaw will be ready to just get super aggressive because just wants to have that Blink Dagger. And they'll be ready to go. Eternal Envy still obviously going to be sitting back and maybe farming up his Battle Fury a lot of these times. Misery is halfway through his Aghanim Scepter, so if they get another good fight, they'll have like a 25-minute Ags at the very latest for the Night Stalker, and then you're looking at probably a gem shortly thereafter. All of a sudden, the vision of Monkey Business, they're not going to have any. They're just going to have to be reliant on essentially the Hawk being fed away multiple times to the Night Stalker just to get some semblance of vision up.
Yeah, that's fine though. And again, here we go. Secret, they have the smoke available. They know they have the Aegis. You've got your Blink Dagger on the Meepo. It's times like this where once you've hit these item timings, you want to get aggressive. There's no reason to just play the passive game when Miracle has nothing. You want to apply the pressure as much as you possibly can because you know that Monkey Business is going to fight shortchanged, and even the Sven can't really provide too much for you. And
free pickoff on Crit. I thought they were actually going to be able to find something else. They ran into the Undying farther up, but Weehaw, he was playing it pretty carefully. He just blinked back from that one instead of trying to be aggressive, and that was for the best. Monkey Business actually had 3 different heroes up here, all trying to protect Miracle's farm, who's trying to go for that Battle Fury right now, but he only has the Headdress and the Perseverance.
yeah, Monkey Business, I think they realize the type of game this is, and they don't want to get too aggressive, but at bottom, it might not really matter.
No tail running
he
forward,
dodges the
but
stun.
Weehaw's going to be able to catch him. They are definitely going to get this kill. Can't even TP out in time.
The problem right now with Monkey Business's lineup too, Cap, is if you notice, they've got no wave clear, and they've got no real way to split push either. They don't have the Moon, Nature's Prophet, or anything like that. So there's not a lot of pressure being created on the other side of the map, and at the same time, they can't really create pressure on the other side of the map because the Meepo has a Blink Dagger, and even if you've got 2 supports like this, the Beastmaster and the Undying up there with you as the anti-mage, he'll just kill you all.
Puppy. Is he trying to get an aggressive ward out? No.
Bottom tower is under attack.
He's already got one by that cliff area on the left-hand side.
You notice too that Weehaw is just sending all the side Meepos away from his team because he knows that even if these die, they'll respawn onto the main one, so he's perfectly safe.
Yeah, so he can really aggressively split push without having to worry about what happens in that second life. Team Secret, scouting out with the Ice Blast, not going to find anybody. Monkey Business do successfully TP out, but that's still a defensive reaction. Not really what you want to see if you're a Monkey Business fan. Need them to start getting aggressive and finding more pickoffs, otherwise this Meepo is just going to take over the game, and the Ember Spirit, probably 10 minutes afterwards, is also going to be coming online.
It's really surprising that Monkey Business have been able to get up as many wards as they have. I think it's about time for Team Secret to pick up a gem, even without the Night Stalker Ags, because you want to apply just more and more pressure constantly. Deny as much vision as you possibly can, and the anti-mage, Miracle's just a safe play in general, and you want to take advantage of that fact by denying him all the vision. And at this point, it only takes 2 heroes to kill him. The Ice Blast or even the Meepo himself can do the job for you. So by denying the vision, you're going to slow down this Battle Fury by quite a lot, and you can just make excursions into the jungle whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, it's either that or like 4 heroes surround Miracle at all times so he can, you know, just run aggressively in free farm, but then you're shutting down everyone else's farm.
Yeah, you can play that style too, but Team Secret are going to be comfortable because they just have so many cores And they've got one of the best late game supports in Dota in Puppey's Ancient Apparition.
And they've got a lot of movement. Like this, between the Meepo and the Ember Spirit with the Boots of Travel, they can really take advantage of the fact that they control 70% of the map at all times. And just farm incredibly efficiently. You're going to see Team Secret right now centering up for a tier 2 tower at that top lane. Monkey Business seem to be okay with a trade-off here. They're going to go for the bottom tier 1 as the turnaround. This will help get some of perhaps the items that they're looking for. It's going to be the next round of Necronomicon for Moon Meander, Crit, maybe a Blink Dagger is what he's going for here, and Miracle, the Battle Fury. So in a way, you could see why trading a tier 1 for a tier 2 would be worth it for Monkey Business, but they're actually going to get chased away. Ice Blast comes in, mass TPs, and the tower does go down to the Beastmaster, so it doesn't get denied at the very least, but they have to try and get out of this one. Moon is going to be caught by Misery. They have the net that's going to be able to come in, and Moon is definitely dead. And Crit, is he going to be able to get out? The nuke Fiend's Grip is actually there to stop him, and that'll be a secondary kill going to Team Secret. They don't get the deny, but the rotations are still worth it.
It's hard to run out of that just because you've got a Night Stalker at night on top of a Meepo with Blink Dagger, and they had to have known that Secret was going to fight that. The bottom tower wasn't low enough, and they can just send the Meepo clones back, and then they'll always take that fight. And that's part of the strength of having a really strong Meepo player, is that you can be on the map pretty much wherever you want. You've even got almost a Hex coming out on a Weehaw. That's just going to ruin the Anti-Mage's life even further. I mean, we're talking about a Battle Fury. Like, how long is it going to take at top? No tail. Oh, that must have been a misclick for sure.
Yeah, now they're going to have to back up. Rotations are coming in. Misery's going to be able to find Fly. They silence him before he gets anything off. And without a Decay and without Tombstone, Undying dies real quickly at this point.
Team Secret's just playing such a clean game right now. Yesterday, they might have made some errors, but this time around, for the most part, it's been pretty clean.
Monkey Business, how do they really get back into this game at this point? I mean, they're pretty far behind. Do they just try and force a team fight?
I'm not going to lie, it's really difficult because part of the issue right now is when you're trying to analyze games like this, you have to think what items are they waiting for and what kind of impact will it have.
Yeah.
When you've got a hero like Anti-Mage, getting the Battle Fury, it'll speed up your farm, but it's never going to make you fight worthy. Yeah. You need at least another 2 items to deal with the Meepo, maybe even a BKB at some point. Whereas if you've got a hero like Ember Spirit, when you're this far ahead, the Battle Fury means a ton because it'll allow you to farm while also picking up fights. And what do you really get if you're Monkey Business? Because you've got the BKB on the no-tail, but he's already used one of the charges, and he doesn't have that much damage to back himself out. So whatever this next BKB fight, you've got to stomp this fight.
Nice 4 Meepo stun. The Misery is going to be able to come in and slow some of this down. Weehaw is surviving with that one. Meepo is going to try and poof himself away. The other Meepo is trying to get out as well, and it does get out. Now the Fiend's Grip onto Crit. Pylai die, holding man. It looks like they're going to be able to nuke him down. No-Tail's just desperate to be able to finish off this Meepo and finally does get the kill. They take him down, but it's already costing them 3 of their members, and now the rest of Monkey Business are being controlled quite heavily. They might be able to get No-Tail. Miracle's going to blink himself out. Should be fine. No-Tail on the other hand, though, is going to try and hide himself and TP away, but that's not going to happen. Immediately gets canceled. 4 heroes for the Meepo. Well worth it for Team Secret.
And the Sven was excellent against the Meepo there. The amount of damage that he was able to put out is great, but the rest of your team is so far behind because they've been playing so cautiously around the map, and this is the issue is, yeah, you're not dying, but everybody from Secret at one point was farming. This is just what they do, is that they know how to collectively farm, stay ahead. Even the Night Stalker is a hero that typically doesn't get a lot of farm. 4, 2, and 7. He's got almost 100 CS backing himself up at 24 minutes. These are not underfarmed heroes.
Chains. Fly is actually going to die here to Eternal Envy if he's not careful. EE, though, as soon as he sees the Beastmaster axes, he knows it's time for him to back up. That Primal Roar is going to be coming up quite soon.
I think if they take the fight, and I'm trying to think right now, you probably... I'm not really sure. This is a hard one because they don't have the cores that you want to see when it comes to this ultra late game.
Yeah. But perhaps you're maybe far enough behind that that's your only real option. You think that maybe you can't take team fights right now, so pushing it late may offer better opportunities.
Yeah. You've got a few more BKB chargers that you can really fight with. That's right now the strength of the lineup is that No-Tail, if you notice, they couldn't really do anything to stop him, and the Bane wasn't quite in position yet. But if Pylai Dai gets a really good Fiend's Grip off, then everything changes once again. So it probably means that Monkey Business, they've just got to look for these pickoffs and hope that Team Secret make a few errors. That's probably your strongest bet right now.
Do you agree? You were actually brought up fairly early on the idea of the Blink Dagger on the Sven. Do you agree with No Tail's build here that is very stat heavy and is continuing to do so? It looks like he's going to be going perhaps in S and Y and not going for that extra jumping item that would be able to perhaps catch out the Ember Spirit?
I think it's fine when you're dealing with the Meepo, but the problem right now is that Team Monkey Business, they've got so many different heroes that they have to worry about. You're probably not going to kill this Ember if Eternal Envy doesn't completely mess up. He's just going to play the distance game, probably grab a Lincoln Sphere or a Scotty, stat up like crazy, and then it's going to be nearly impossible for them to initiate on him. And even if they do, then again, you've got to deal with the Meepo. There's just a little bit too much. So this next Roshan is probably going to signal Team Secret to start going for the high ground. You want to continue to apply pressure if you're Team Secret now, because the anti-mage doesn't have a Manta, so we can't really get into split pushing scenarios.
Misery is actually going to complete up of lands here quite soon, so once again, just trying to amp up everyone else's. And this is fairly common for a Night Stalker. You're not going to usually build damage for yourself, but you're going to try and make your allies as strong as you can. With his Invis rune, he's trying to scout things out right now. 6 to 17, we were showing earlier. Pretty rough gold lead for Monkey Business to deal with on the hands of Team Secret.
Yeah, and this is a team that can continue to scale. This isn't one of those all-in, we have to push immediately lineups.
I thought Eternal Envy was actually going to go for the Lincolns because of the Primal Roar.
I think it's to deal with this Sven and his BKB. You can slow him down with the Sleight of Fist into the Scotty.
Yeah. Yeah, but instead he's going for the Scotty. So. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, as you said, that's the one hero that Team Secret couldn't really do anything about, unless they had Fiend's Grip available, but last time we saw the Team Fight, it was used on another hero.
Right, the Roshan's still not up. Eternal Envy does the right thing here.
Jump in. Crit's going to be able to find Pylai Die here. They'll just chain stun him down, but the Ice Blast is coming in. They're going to be able to hit two with that one. BKB immediately popped by No Tail as they realize they have to get out of here. Team Secret not going to push their luck. No reason to at this point in time with Roshan up. They might as well just farm that. Even 4 versus 5. They still feel enough in control of the map that they can go for that big objective.
It doesn't really matter. Pylai Die, that's an okay death. You traded a Bane for a BKB charge. That's how I choose to look at it right now.
And Eternal Envy still free farming the top lane. And we are still getting that Aegis. And he's going to have a Scythe of Ice here rather soon. With another double damage, what is happening? Looks like they're going to go for the fight in the top lane. They know it's probably about the time that they're going to get aggressive on Eternal Envy, and that's exactly when the Meepo's going to come in. Beautifully baited out. They're going to be able to get No Tail here. Snowball save is not going to be enough. Ice Blast is just going to hold them in place, and eventually they will go down. And now the Surround Tusk also going to fall into the DD Meepo. They might as well push uphill now.
Yeah, there's nothing that can stop you. There's no split push that you have to worry about in some of the games that we've seen. You don't have the best creep clear. The only thing really that you have to contend with is the Beastmaster axes. And there's no major ability like the Tidehunter Ravage that's going to scare you, or the Earthshaker Echo Slam. This is pretty standard from Team Secret. Just go to the high ground. Look how quickly they take it. Like, how long has it been since we've seen that easy of a high ground?
And they're probably going to be able to just continue down the objectives. Then, unfortunately, can't go for a second lane of racks just yet. Both tier 2s are up in middle and bottom lane, but they can very easily rotate with their various boots of travels and push out those side lanes and continue to force the fight since they still have that Aegis advantage. Which is going to turn into a Scythe of Ice advantage here pretty soon, but first they're going to get the pick off on Miracle. They get the silence in here, and he doesn't have the Manta yet. And this is the problem. If you don't have that Manta by now, you're still so susceptible to those single target silences. You're just going to continue to be shut down over and over again.
Yeah, Team Secret, they've got full map control. They've got a lot of different items on everybody. Eternal Envy's completely unafraid right now. He's got a Talisman of Evasion too. They don't nearly have the damage that's going to take him out. Look at top.
Yeah, they like actually get 2 different stuns on him, and they hardly put a dent in his HP pool.
And this Meepo is going to push in this mid lane too. They've just got so much control right now. He's got 1 Meepo here still. He's got a Hex now.
There goes the Hex onto No Tail, trying to get the control from the nets. Doesn't look like they're really committing for the kill, just trying to force out perhaps a BKB charge. And if he uses it there, that will then allow the Meepo to much more aggressively push in the middle lane. And Monkey Business, I mean, it seems like this is all but pretty much over for Monkey Business. I'm not sure really how they're going to be able to get a good team fight towards the end to this, but was it the draft Blitz? Was there the idea behind the lineup for Monkey Business? It seemed to be okay versus Team Secret, but it was also in a way too fragile in the fact that you had to play, you know, kind of perfectly. It was one fight that it almost felt like, oh, as soon as that Meepo got the triple kill, the game was just naturally going to continue that way.
And you just had two cores that had to farm a lot. Like the Sven and the anti-mage required a lot. So you needed a core that was going to make space for either of them. And they attempted a few ganks, but that top fight where they lost all control in the jungle, that pretty much determined a lot of it. And also the rotation by Weehaw into that top lane when they were able to pick up the kill on the Beastmaster, that set the Night Stalker up for a really good game. And it made it really hard for
Look at
Moon to
Eternal Envy.
recover.
He's actually coming around the back here.
Oh, what?
Behind the tier 4 towers. He slows
This
down
can't
2
be
of
the
these zeros with the
position.
chains. He hits them with the Ice Frost, and now Moon's going to stun him up. Ember Spirit is just going to be focused down nice and quick. They get the fast kill. What just happened?
All right.
Space created. Meepo's pushing down the tier 3 tower in the middle lane, I guess, but No Tail's going to try and run him down. They do have a stun. Maybe they can get Weehaw as well here. They've got the ultimate. Miracle, are they going to be able to burn through enough mana to finish him off? Weehaw gets off the net. Crit comes in, Walrus Punch, and they take him out. That's going to be just the Aegis, though. He's going to come back here in the middle lane. And now the BKB is going to fade out from No Tail. That means he's susceptible to that Scythe device. They're going to go for the poop pops. What? Oh no, Moon just keeps on crashing.
I don't even know how he got there. I assume he just walked from that
No, he
tier
literally
3 at
just
top.
pushed in from the the top lane and just wrapped all the way around
I mean,
in
Eternal
a really
Envy,
awkward U.
yeah, Eternal Envy is like 100 times better than any of us, but that's still a clowny play. He has to know that's a mistake. I don't even think he'd mind being criticized for that one.
I had to like double check. I was
He was
like,
there?
does he have the Aegis? Am I crazy here?
That was pretty
No,
absurd.
it's definitely the Meepo had the Aegis.
You know they're gonna post that meme, right?
Yeah. Oh, I know it. I know it. We're going to watch. Oh, the snowball save comes in actually
going
just in
down
time.
so
Now
fast.
it's done. Weeha's going to actually get popped before all this. And No Tail stays alive.
What
and
is
maybe
going on now?
Team Secret are actually going to be forced to run away. How did this happen? Monkey Business with the successful defense 2 pauses ago. We were talking about how it seemed all but over for Monkey Business, but now a glimmer of hope in the darkness.
They had an Aegis Meepo. They burned through a BKB charge, and they still lost the fight. That's got to be a little bit disconcerting considering the type of lead that they had. They were up by a little over 20,000 gold. They were pushing in all of the sides, and there wasn't a whole lot that Monkey Business could do, but this is their way back into the game, is that Dota, you're never going to play a perfect game. People are going to make errors, get a little bit overconfident, and you can take advantage of that. And they're going to push even further for this. I really like this idea to smoke. Just start to swing the momentum the other way, look for the pickoffs while the Meepo's dead.
They can get him. Misery immediately jumped on. Snowball chain stun pretty
This is
heavily.
so
They have
huge.
the Ice Blast, but Misery still going to fall and doesn't look like they have the power to use that Ice Blast. And once that one team fight was probably like a 5,000 gold swing, 7,000 experience or something like that. Monkey Business now going to turn that into even more with an additional pickoff on the Night Stalker at tier 1 tower. And who knows what's going to happen now that Monkey Business actually have control of this map. They can go for more pickoffs. As you can see, Eternal Envy, because he chose for the Scotty rather than the Lincoln Sphere, is still susceptible to the initiation from Monkey Business.
Yeah, they've got Vision right now. They've got the Vision game to play with. I think they picked up the gem too. So they're starting to deward a little bit, and they've just bought themselves quite a lot of time. But I think this is going to prompt Team Secret to kind of regather, start the aggression once again. And hopefully this is the push that will allow them to end it. But you can't really afford to make those kinds of mistakes again. That's a one-off situation. If you do that again, you're just giving Team Monkey Business probably another additional 5 minutes to collect themselves and get back into this game. Because make no mistake about it, Team Secret still have pretty decent control, but to go from 20K to a 15K lead in 30 seconds, you've got to worry about that.
I swear, if Team Secret managed to win another fight based off of a double damage rune, we're going to change the DD is going to be the Weehaw rune.
That's pretty absurd how many times he's had it. That's actually had a lot of impact.
Yeah, he won 2 different team fights with it. Took a
The
Roshan
Rosh,
like
yeah.
super early, like 14-minute Roshan solo.
It definitely there's not a lot of times where I say one rune was able to affect so much, but the DD this game has definitely changed a lot for them. And they're going to smoke up, head to this bottom area, hope that Monkey Business is going to get a little bit too over-eager. If you send one hero down here, you've got Weehaw that can instantly burst him down. But we saw what the Sven was able to do to the Meepo twice. And now he's got the Blink Dagger. So the opportunity is there now for them to kill Eternal Envy as well.
If he gets another big strength item and is able to amp up that God Strength even further, the Meepo, it doesn't really matter how many items you get on this hero. You're still going to be susceptible to that kind of straight physical damage. Your clone Meepos just don't get enough.
Okay, so Team Secret. What's the play here? Wait for the next Roshan.
Yeah.
But Monkey Business gets stronger and stronger as time goes on.
What are we going for here with this Ultimate Orb? Is that the that's a Manta build, right? Aren't we? Or is this the Scotty?
I think you get a Scotty.
Okay.
You want to be able to control the Sven up, and you have to get tank here. He dies so quickly.
Yeah.
I'd kind of like to see Misery actually grab an AC. I think they need some armor for their team collectively. They don't have any Vlads or ACs, or they have a Vlad actually.
Oh, Jesus. Crit just gets popped. Good Lord. Team Secret still showing the strength of that Meepo poof. Now they managed to pick up the Bane at the same time. The gem is going to be picked up by Misery, drops an item, and Moon Meander's now going to be caught as Eternal Envy goes on to him. They managed to get the net on him, and Monkey Business, they're just going to have to give him up. In fact, they may still be caught. Misery has full vision of these heroes. No Tail may be forced into a BKB, TP out, has the blink up, and TP's away. He'll be fine.
They lose one core, but it's not really that big of a deal anymore. It's a Beastmaster that's kind of under farmed, so it doesn't really matter too much. What matters is this high ground defense. You can't really afford to lose 2 sets of racks because then Team Secret can just kind of start to throw bodies at you. You've got to keep this alive. But without their Beastmaster, it's going to be so rough. They don't have Tombstone either.
Oh, Fly
is just dead.
Yeah. It's just that long-range initiation. Chain set up. They're going to go on a Weehigh here, trying to pop in as quick as possible. A lot of these Meepos are staying alive. They manage to get off the poof combination. That brings Miracle low, and he won't be able to finish off the Meepo. Now the net's coming out. No Tail will finish him off with a big hit there. He actually managed to get a critical. And are they going to buy back for this one? It looks like the Tusk, yeah, he's going to be forced into it as they can't afford to lose their second laner Rax. Team Secret all landing for that as they bought back on Meepo. They're just going to try and go for defense on the last lane of Rax. Miracle still down for another 50 seconds. The Tombstone out, slowing things down for Team Secret. But this is going to be problematic. They have the BKB, but they don't have God's Strike. They won't really have the kind of damage if they get hit by an Ice Blast here. If they manage to get their snowball just in time, helps save them quite significantly. Weehaw trying to burst him down, but the Feed Grip on the no-tail. He's not going to be able to get any more damage out. Weehaw survives, and Team Secret finally take game number 1 after a slight misstep just 7-8 minutes earlier.
I mean, I think it was just some boys clowning around.
Yeah.
That's all. They were so far ahead.
That was that was like 25,000 gold lead or something.
Yeah, they still had the late game advantage though. You have a Meepo, an Ember Spirit that had a ton of farm. Then you had an Ancient Apparition. Crit did a really good job of dodging the AA Blast like 3 times in a row for his team, but still they were just a little bit too far behind.
All right, so with that, Team Secret taking game number 1. We're going to have game number 2 coming up shortly, but first we're going to see what our analysts have to say about that performance of Team Secret.
Thank you so much, Cap. And, well, it's going to be Secret claiming off the first victory here in day number 3, the final day for MLG World Final. And I'm back on the panel, of course, with Merlini and Nahaz. Gentlemen, it felt like Monkey Business were confident, a quick snag of the Sven there at the end, but the laning stage showed that Secret were very, very strong early on. Meepo even getting involved with some early rotations, asserted their dominance from across the board. And then once Puppey hit level 6, man, that guy was Reggie Miller. He could hit 3s all day. He landed all those Ice Blast setups. It led to the Meepo double kill. And then a very generous gesture from Envy to make the game a bit more interesting there at the end. What a time.
Generous.
Wow. Wow. I mean, it boils down to this. They won all 3 lanes. And you can talk about hero versus hero counters all day long. I mean, the Sven is very, very good against the Meepo with the cleave. Means Meepo can't build armor. But at the end of the day, when you win all 3 lanes, and yeah, you mentioned Puppey's Ice Blast. I think the only 2 Ice Blasts he missed in the first 20 minutes were because the target was already dead.
it was just like a one-dimensional view at, oh, okay, Sven counters Meepo, but where do you lane him? How do you get him farm?
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, Anti-Mage is good late game. I'm just going to pick a Faceless Void because he's better late game, right? It's like they didn't really think it through. And
Yeah.
obviously they had to think of it to some extent because they just picked up the Sven immediately. So it's like, okay, if they pick me, but we pick Sven. But it just didn't seem to go much more in depth than that.
Yeah, they picked a lineup to be able to do monkey business things, but what it didn't seem like they were able to factor is what if they were going to be on the defensive?
Right.
It felt like their lineup was not very capable of being able to hold their high ground. It felt like it was almost effortless for Secret to be able to get into the base.
Well, with Tusk Undying, you rarely expect to lose the early game.
Right.
If you lose the early game with Tusk Undying, you're probably going to lose the game. It's
No.
pretty simple from there.
I mean,
Before
when
we
the- go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
before we
please.
get more into the nitty-gritty, let's go ahead and take a moment to check out the BenQ best play from that game. Not sure exactly what it is, but I would not be surprised if it was that
No,
early
this is,
play.
This
from
is one of
Meepo.
my favorites because, I
Yeah,
mean,
oh
boy,
yeah.
the DD runes. Misery is walking by here in the jungle. Oh, hey, guys, look what I found. Commit the Roar in the Tombstone. This is a nice, easy kill. All of a sudden, the Ice Blast comes in,
Boom.
and with the DD rune and Chilling Touch active
Ouch.
on all of the Meepos, look at the damage that we is able to pump out in this fight. Our casters were right on top of this. We don't necessarily think about this as a classic combination, the AA and the Meepo, but between those two DD runes and then another 3 minutes later allows him to take Roche, that really changed the outcome of the game.
I think DD is the best rune on Meepo because it's the only one that you can get on all four of them. That was a fight where Anti-Mage had to come to the fight, so you can already tell that they're pressure. And they also had full vision. They had 2 Observer wards on the opposite side of the fight, so they thought that was like a great fight for them to take. But you had to shut down the Meepo early, and Sven is just not a good lane matchup versus them.
Well, Secret come out looking very hot here for day 3 action. They will take game 1 victory. We'll have to see if Monkey Business are going to be able to bounce back in game 2 and take this to a 3-game stretch, or if they will be eliminated and Secret will be the first team to move on into the grand final. We'll have that answer shortly. Let's cut to a small commercial break. When we get back, it will be game 2 of Monkey Business going against Team Secret.